So you've been using the weight loss jabs, whether it's Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy. What's next? Maybe you've lost some weight and you're wondering what the next step is. We're going to go into that today. You don't want to be on these jabs all your life. We need to build the foundations of a healthy lifestyle around it, and I'm going to talk you through how we do it. My name's Matt Smallacombe. I'm a fully qualified nutritionist. I'm an online personal trainer, and I've been in the game for well over a decade. So I'm going to break this down for you today. Now, if you haven't done it already, then I also have a video on my YouTube channel about weight loss jabs, how they work, who they're recommended for, would I recommend them, and what to do about it. So if you haven't watched that any before and you want to see the background, then go back and watch that video as well as watching this one, because this we're going to go through what the next steps are and what you should be doing whilst you're on the jabs. Now, we're going to talk first about habits. There is no point going on the jabs if you don't make any changes to your lifestyle. So we don't want to think about it as a long-term thing, and we need to build things in the background so when you come off them, you're in a really good place to keep the weight off and lead a healthy lifestyle. So what habits do we need to do? We need to think about things like sleep. We want good sleep hygiene. We want to get as much good quality sleep as we can. We want to go to bed and wake up at similar times each day. So we're feeling energetic. Your body gets its circadian rhythm in. That way we can have as much energy as possible. We want to be drinking 2 to 4 litres of pure water per day. We don't want to be relying on caffeine to help with energy. We want to stay hydrated, and we want good nutrition with nutrient-dense foods, so we're providing the body with energy. Other things, we want to have a structured sort of nutrition plan in place. So even though lots of people say don't use a meal plan, I really like a meal plan because it gives you structure on your busiest days. You know what you're eating, when you're eating it, and if it fits into your sort of calorie and protein targets, and if it's aimed towards your goals. So having like a structured meal plan is really good. We also want the habit of training. We want to be in a good sort of training regimen. We want you to be training regularly. We want to be increasing your strength, increasing your endurance. So we lead a nice, healthy lifestyle. We're keeping healthy bones and joints. Now, before we get into the nutrition side, I just want to say, if you follow the link in the description below, you can join my free Skool community. Now, what we do in there is I put all of these videos in there. I have open discussions with the community, but one of the best things is I have lots of free resources for you there, including my Kickstarter course, which is completely free and it's very in-depth. So in that, we work out your calorie and protein targets. We go through the foods to focus on and the foods to avoid, how to build flexibility into the diet, how to train, sample training plans, and also lots of mindset hacks to get you set up for success. So join the Skool community in my description and take advantage of all that free stuff. And if you have any questions, obviously send me a message on there. Now, nutrition. Again, there's no point going on the jabs if you're not addressing your nutrition at the same time. So what do we want? We want to know what calories you need to be on. I'm assuming if you're going on the jabs, you're trying to lose weight. So to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. So we need to know what those numbers are. Again, go and use my free resource in the Skool community and you can work out what your numbers are, so it takes the guesswork out. But we need to have the calories set. We also want protein. We want your protein numbers set. Protein is the most important macronutrient. We want to keep it high, so then we're building and maintaining muscle and strength. We have a strong immune system, we have strong bones and joints, and also protein helps to keep you feeling fuller for longer, which stops as many cravings happening and stops you wanting to snack all the time. So with protein, we want to keep it 1.6 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. So what I like to do with my clients is give them this range, because some days you may be up at 2, other days you may be closer to 1.6 or 1.8. That's absolutely fine. Having a range just gives you that bit of flexibility, so you're not stressing about getting to a number. Now, what else do we want to think about nutrition? We want to think about good foods. Now, anybody who tells you there aren't good and bad foods is talking shit, and they are just trying to sell you something. Now, it doesn't mean you can't eat the unhealthy foods, but we just want to focus as much of the diet, so sort of 80-90% around good whole foods. These are things like your red meat, chicken, fish, dairy, fruits, vegetables, and sort of whole food carbohydrates, so like your potatoes, your rice, those sorts of things. So if you do that 80-90% of the time, then we have the flexibility, sort of 10-20% of the time, for treats. Now, a lot of people get into gaining weight because that's probably the other way around. You've probably got 80% treats and ultra-processed foods and very minimal good whole foods, and then you're overeating calories as well. So we just want to flip that on its head. We can still have treats. If you like cake with your coffee, you can still do that. If you like desserts after some of your main meals, we can do that. If you want to have some ice cream, you can do that. But we need to work it into the calories, and we need to keep it to 10-20% of the time. And I always say with treats, don't necessarily book them in. Have them when you really want them. Because what happens is, if I was to say, it's Monday today, and on Thursday, I'm going to go for coffee and cake. Sounds good. On Thursday, when I go to the cafe, I may not actually fancy the cake, but because I've said I'm having coffee and cake, I have it out of routine rather than actually wanting it. What I would rather you did is say, on Thursday, I'm going for coffee. Cool. Maybe you turn up at the cafe and there's a piece of cake or a pastry that just looks incredible and you really, really want it. That's the time to have the treat. Don't do it out of routine, do it because you actually want it. Now, training. I'm assuming goals are health and weight loss and looking good as you're losing weight. Obviously, if it's more performance-based, we can talk separately about that. But we're thinking 2 to 4 strength training sessions per week. Now, this is focusing on lifting weights and using your body weight, but we're talking about progressively advancing the exercises to get stronger and to add muscle. Then we want to do a few sessions a week. I'm not going to put a number on the other sessions, but we want to just be active. So whether you like to go for a jog, you can go for a jog. Brisk walking is one of my favorite things. If you've got a dog, this becomes very easy, but trying to get 10,000 steps on average per day. You know, some days you may be really busy in the office or driving, and that may be down to like 4,000 to 5,000. So then other days try and get up to 12, 15. But on average, do 10,000 steps. The 10,000 step number it was basically made up by someone who made the pedometer. It's not actually based in science. However, I find it's a really good target, a good round number for people to focus on. But if you really want to get into the weeds, we can do 8,000 to 12,000. 8,000 is a good amount as well. So don't stress about the amount, but if we're just aiming around these numbers, then you're going to be in a good place. Your body will then be sort of burning fat as you do it. You'll increase your cardiovascular fitness, keeps the heart nice and healthy, helps with digestion, and helps with what's called nutrient partitioning. So how well your body uses nutrients. So there's no downside to getting your steps in. And then with the training, we want to train in different planes of motion. We want to do standing still lifting weights, so sort of your squats, your deadlifts. We want to be walking with weights. We want to be able to do like lunges. We want to be twisting with weights. We want to be picking up awkward objects because that simulates real life. Basically, we want to be training like an athlete, even if you're not an athlete. We want a body that's strong in all different angles and all different planes of motion. Again, we're not going to go too much detail to that today. If you want to know more about that, go and do the free course in the Skool platform. It's completely free of charge. Or DM me if you want to get into sort of more one-to-one coaching. Now, balance. So I've already covered this one with this really, but 80 to 90% good foods, 10 to 20% treats. That's how you create balance. So you need to learn, whilst you're doing the jabs, how to instill balance in your life, and also how to account for social occasions. Again, that's in the free course in my Skool community. So just go and do that course and you learn a lot of this stuff anyway. But how we can navigate social occasions. So say you've got a meal out with your friends and your family, and you know you're going to a really nice restaurant, it's going to be very rich food, you're going to have a few drinks. We need to know how to account for that within the calories and still make progress. We can do something called calorie banking. So, well, for argument's sake, I'm going out for a meal tonight with my wife. I know I want to really enjoy it. So what am I doing today? I am cutting about 500 to 600 calories off what I'm eating today and tomorrow. What that does is it frees up about 1,200 extra calories that I can use tonight for my meal out. Because when we're talking about calories, we're talking about on average over a week. So to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit on average over a week. So you may have one day where you're above, but as long as like the rest of the days and over the course of the week, you're in the deficit, you will lose weight. So yeah, I am over 2 days saving 1,200 calories, and that's added to, say, what my dinner allowance would be for tonight. So say that's 800 to 1,000. So for argument's sake, I've got about 2,000 calories just for one meal tonight. If you think it's going to be even heavier than that, you can take the 500 to 600 calories off for over 3 days rather than just 2. But that's a technique of how to have flexibility in your diet while still making progress. So you need to learn all of these things whilst you're on the jabs. Do it when you're on the jabs, because then when you come off, you've already built the habits, you've already built your nutrition and training knowledge, and you know how to account for treats and social occasions and how to set up your meals. I hope you found that useful. Like I say, if you haven't watched my first video on how the jabs work, then go and watch that one as well. Make sure you follow the link in my description to join the free Skool community. Completely take advantage of all the free resources on there. DM me if you've got any questions. But until then, I will see you on the next video.